Well, we have a very, very special guest, a guest that we've been trying to get on the show for such a long time, but it's finally happened. So happy. So happy. Guest, would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, I would absolutely love to introduce myself. Hi, everyone. Hi, beautiful ladies that I'm looking at right now. My name is Omi Allen, and who am I? I am a destination wedding coach. I am the creator of BlackDestinationBride.com. Also, the Desti Guide to Destination Weddings, which is a podcast and a YouTube channel that's all about teaching couples how to plan a destination wedding. I interview people. I've never been interviewed before, so I'm so excited to be on here. And it was just, yes, what else? That's who I am. So, hi.
All of the things. all of the things. We're so happy to have you on because, as we told you before, like, we were listening to you before we started this. Like, you've been around and you've been like helping so many brides navigate this space, because there are so many destination brides and so many Black destination brides.
Yes.
So you're doing the work.
I appreciate that. It's so funny. I had a bride who was like, you created hashtag Black Destination Bride. I was like, yeah, I actually did. I remember going on Instagram and it did not exist. And I was the first. If you look up hashtag Black Destination Bride, that was me blogging my 200-day journey, which was like every single day I blog like day 200. This is what I did. This is what I expect, what I went through. And I got super crazy real, which is what I love about your show. You guys are just like super funky with it. So, I remember when y'all popped up, and it's been a while, but this is just, it's been 5 years now. And I've got a community, and I've watched y'all, and y'all are big and popping and doing all the things. And it's great to see more color in the industry now. So
for sure, because we know how it can be.
Yes.
How it is.
Yes. There needs to be more of us out there, like not just us, to be honest, We are not trying to take all the, I don't want to say coins, because we're not really making coins like that yet, but
right, like,
but there's more to go around,
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's huge, and it's funny because now at this point, my community, like I've always been, so funny, sorry y'all, always been about just making sure that there were people, everyone could look and see someone that looked like them. So definitely with our Black community, but just women of color, people of color of all shapes and sizes and economic backgrounds and all of the things. Like, you can afford it, you can do it no matter what. So my community now, I just had like a live Q&A, and I had a Colombian, it's a Black, it's a Puerto Ricans, it's a white, it's a everything. We're all different shapes and sizes, and it's just great to see that, because you can't really look at a magazine and see that, or you don't really see that like that. So
right. And honestly, I mean, when you think of like destination weddings, sometimes I feel like that's not even that visible when you see like weddings in the media. Like every now and then, like if there's a celebrity that goes off and does something, that gets covered, but like outside of that, not too much.
And that's what's sad, and that's what's crazy about it. But when I was planning, my husband and I'm always saying I. So when I say I, that means us, just so y'all know. I'm gonna put that out there because he listens, and he's gonna be like, it's our wedding. So when we were planning, it was just, you didn't see it. It was just one of those things where we talked to our family, and it was like, must be nice, or like we don't do that, or it's just so hard. And that's because you didn't see it, and you don't see it. And I think even more now, especially like with the Black travel stuff that's happening, like there's a great movement that's going on. Like, even, I'm not sure if you guys know about the Black Travel Alliance, but they're like really trying to push the envelope, and they say like pull up for travel, where it's pushing companies to show more diversity. And the reason why destination weddings, you don't really see that, is the same thing as with travel. Like if you're looking at sandals.com, I'm not really trying to call out any company, but all of the companies like that, their websites don't have us. Their marketing materials don't have us. When we go on vacation, we spend so much money and we can't experience the resort the way that everyone can. I'm not going and getting my hair done. Like I can get a facial, you know, I can get my nails, I can get a massage, but
right,
that's where it stops. Like, okay,
right,
like ain't nobody, or when you're trying to get, you know, I have my brides that they want to get their hair and makeup done for their wedding. And we have more of a problem where it's like, how do I do that? How do I trust someone who understands? And, you know, if you're not going to Jamaica or another place that really gets us, then you're in trouble. You're in trouble. You're gonna spend some more money for real. So
yeah.
So I'm working to try to make that easier. And
yes.
Yeah.
One day at a time.
So necessary though. Just trying to fill these gaps where we can.
Yes. Yes.
Well, now we are going to dive into our favorite, well, one of our favorite parts of the show, which is this or that. Yay! We're going to play this or that. We're going to pick between one option or the other and explain why. And because you are our very special guest, Omi, we're going to let you go first. So yay. And then Tania will answer, then I'll start it back over and we'll do quick 4 rounds. So to get started, do you cry when you're upset or do you just like get silent? And if you do both, which would you say you do the most?
I cry all the time. So
okay.
I am a crazy, crazy crier. I mean, if I'm really, really angry, you can see everything. Like I'm cheesing crazy right now. I'm happy, but I will, you know, I just wear all of my emotions. So I will get quiet very quickly and you can kind of see whatever's happening bubbling, but tears are going to happen. Absolutely, positively. I don't know how to not cry. I get it from my daddy. I cry like my daddy. Cry, cry, cry.
All right, nothing wrong with that. What about you, Tania?
I just get silent, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm really, really upset, then maybe I'll cry. Maybe late at night, but I'll get silent on you real quick.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure as to why that is, huh?
Oh, go ahead. No. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure as to why that is, but that's just something that I do. And I sit and like think about, okay, like, why am I upset? Like, you know, like I analyze things and then I go from there, you know. So I try not to just react. So I get silent.
And when you say, I'm sorry, just for clarity, when you say like maybe at night, does that mean like when you're by yourself, you'll kind of reflect and have those moments? Or
yeah, like, depending on what the situation is. I mean, if it's sorry, there's someone has their, I don't know if y'all can hear the horn. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, so if it's like, if I'm upset at someone, then I'm gonna go to sleep. But if someone is upset at me, and like it all depends on the situation, then of course when I'm alone, then I'll, you know, have a good cry. But if it's me upset at someone, nah, baby, I'm gonna roll over and go to sleep. I sleep peacefully too.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I know that's petty for me to say, but that's just me.
You need to teach me that. I gotta tell you,
Oh
I cannot talk to you. Like I'm not necessarily trying to talk about it, but I cry. Oh my Lord, I cry. Okay.
I'm a crier too. I think of the two, something happened over the last few years where like when I'm really angry, I just cry. I can't like change that. And I hate that I cry. Like, because to me, I'm like, oh, typical, you know, it looks like women emotional, blah, 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 blah. But like, it's just like, I'm upset, but I cannot process or show you how upset I am, but I'm crying, and you think I'm in this sweet, this like really vulnerable, like upset, you hurt my feelings stage, and it's like, no,
just bubbling out.
Yes. Like, I don't know. Like, I think the last maybe 7 or so years, that's been a shift. But anywho, hormones, yay. All right. So
quick thing about that though, I got a question. I'm sorry. I don't think I heard anybody do this ridiculousness that I'm doing right now. But something I will say is that I also hate when I cry, especially if it's something with me and my husband, because it kind of shifts it, and I don't want to, like, just because I'm angry, I don't want it to feel like I'm crying to get out of this, or to, what I mean, to kind of pull this card where now he can't talk to me or we can't have a conversation because now I'm crying. Like,
right.
That's the one. I agree with you on that part. Like, that's a hard part. So now I just say before, like, just so you know, I'm gonna cry, but it's okay, and I want to talk about this, but I can't. You have to still validate that and let it be known, like, I'm not crying to win, or I'm not trying to be. Some people you have to win, but they're manipulative, and that's not me. I'm just a crybaby.
It's like, that's just how my body and my emotions are. My brain is telling my, this is how I'm processing. Yes. All right. Round 2. Would you prefer to walk on eggshells or offend without a care?
Oh, offend without a care.
Okay.
100%. Yeah. I suffer from depression. I have anxiety stuff. I've done a lot of work on just with traumas that have happened in the past. And I also have like lupus. So I've come to understand in my years that stress manifests itself in so many different ways, and I will really struggle. So it's people who I absolutely positively love, but I just can't with the bull. Can you? Yeah. So I can't with it. So I just have to put it out there. And at the same time, sometimes offending is not speaking at all. And it's offensive. I'm not dealing, I try to talk to you and it ain't working. So now I ain't got nothing to say. And that's sometimes more offensive. But walking on eggshells just stresses me out too much. And I can't do that. So yeah, that's my vote.
Okay. How about you, Tania?
I think when I was younger, I used to walk on eggshells a lot, but now I'm going to pick the latter. Me at this age, like, I'm going to speak up. And I mean, I may offend you, but of course, that's never where my intention lies, to offend you, but it may come off offensive. And so, but I think that's better for me, gotcha. So, yeah, I don't want to walk on eggshells around my friends or around my husband or around anybody.
Gotcha. I am the opposite. I walk on eggshells. I think I probably do offend people without meaning to offend, but of the two, I think I'm gonna internalize it. I'm gonna just, you know what? I'm not going to like operate in this space, or I'm a retreat. Because I just don't want to ruffle feathers or, like make anyone feel anyway. So if I just stay in my little lane, even though that may be walking on eggshells, let me do that, because I've done it for a very long time. So
yeah, that's actually very surprising for me to hear that. That
really?
You walk on, yeah.
I hell not. Nope. Disagree.
Yeah. I mean, like, you probably don't think I walk on eggshells within our relationship, but when I think of all of the relationships I have, for the most part, I do walk on eggshells.
Gotcha.
Yeah, my husband and I have this thing where we be like, I don't want no problems. Like, that's our thing. When things get to a certain point, it's like, I don't want no problems. That's that's the retreat. So I get it. I get it. Yeah.
I feel like I've lost friends over being too open, too honest.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. Friends, family members, and for me, it's not like I'm just some rude person that's just running around here saying forget everybody's feelings.
Of course, yeah.
But some people, they do that. But I've absolutely lost friends and family members, people that mean the world to me. And it doesn't mean that, like, I've had an interaction more recently where it's like, I thought we loved each other. I was like, oh, I love you. Let's not get that one messed up. But, it's just not about to work. Like, clearly, this just isn't it. So I think, I get it. I get it for everybody. And that could change. I'm not like a forever type person either. But I've walked on eggshells and through my childhood through my life for a long time. And I'm old though, so who knows,
I feel the same way. I've been walked on, I've been stepped on, I've been treated any type of way, and I'm like, I'm in my 30s now. Y'all not about to do.
That's what the 30s do. Because I feel like, you start to go, okay, now.
Yeah.
Right. This is what we're not gonna do.
No more.
Right. Okay. Round 3. So you prefer, being open with your spouse and no one else. So there is a certain level of just like, I will share these things with you, but I'm not sharing it with anyone else. Or having that same level of openness with your spouse and those that are close to you. So like family, friends, your circle.
So being extremely open with only my spouse or with everybody?
Everybody close to you.
This is kind of surprising to myself, but because I feel like I'm such an open book, but my husband is really my favorite person in the world. And there are things that I can feel like I can really only talk to him about. And I'm okay with that. And I love having that, you know what I mean? So I think I would lean more there, but that's probably a testament to like the types of traumas and the things that I've really gone through. It's really, really hard to talk about stuff sometimes, for me, certain things. So I do have those. I'm kind of like both. Can you say that? It's kind of both, but more if I had to pick one, it would be my husband. But I'm pretty open, as y'all see later, about everything. A whole lot.
Okay. Tania.
If I had to pick one, I would also say my husband as well. You can't hear me?
Well, repeat that part again. Well, I couldn't, but if you could, then that's good.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think if I had to pick one, I think I would pick my husband. Just because not everyone that's close to me has that level of access, even though, like, yes, I am open to the people that are close to me, but they don't know everything, And so, I would choose my husband just because I know that he is a vault. He don't be talking. And so, I think I would choose my husband.
Okay. Good answer. I'll agree, though I feel like I'm kind of like you, Omi, where I think I'm open to most people, but then there is a certain level of openness I think I have with people where it's like, okay, this group, I know I could say this. This group, I know I can say that. Yes. This person, I know I could, but not this. So, but I pretty much know, we'll say like 90% of things, but that last 10% is like nobody knows but me.
Yes, right. Yeah.
So
I mean, I think we're all the same way, because there's some things that I'm taking to my grave,
That take it to your grave.
Try my best, try my damnedest to, it might come out, but yeah, yes.
Right. Like, ooh, I'd be thinking like, ooh, if I get dementia, is something going pop out? That's been married.
So I'm getting my wisdom teeth pulled soon, which is crazy to think that it's happening now. But I'm going under, and I just said today, like, look, whatever happens, I'm a liar. If I say some crazy stuff, just know I'm a liar. I ain't mean it. It ain't true. Like, I don't want to be telling on myself, say something wild. It ain't true. It ain't true.
Oh, that's too funny. Okay, so final round. You need $7,500 for a last minute emergency. Do you go to your family with this, or do you just figure it out yourself?
I need what?
$7,500
for an emergency.
Something came up, and maybe it's you got the rest, but you need this last 7,500 or whatever it is. How are you going to handle it?
Oh, I don't have anybody in my family I can go to for that. So that's
all right.
Where we tend to be the people that you call, if that
gotcha.
So it would be great. Yeah, no, we're gonna have to figure that out, and that's just something that we'd have to do ourselves.
Sure. Gotcha. Okay. What about you, Tania?
I would reach out to my family.
Okay. Like the whole family, or like you said,
like certain everybody.
Help y'all.
Yeah, only certain people now. Only certain people. Of course, I would go to my parents first, first and foremost, and then from there, I honestly don't think I would reach out to anybody else. I'll figure it out, But yeah, I'll go to my parents first. Maybe my brother. But after that, then that's about it.
Yeah, I feel that. I would say the same. Like, there's probably 2-3 people in my family where I'd be like, I would reach out if I absolutely needed to. But beyond that, I'm gonna figure it out myself, because you only have a handful of people that you could like go to where it's not going to be turned back on you, or like it's going to be a thing later. And yeah, so that's not what we're doing. All right. So this is your brain is like,
it's like I gotta have a last word or something. It's so stupid. I swear it's not on purpose. But I was thinking we do have some friends that maybe, but anyway, family. I think it was a family question. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Gotcha. Well, now we're going to dive into discussing vulnerability with basically those that are the closest to you, whether it's your spouse, your family, even sometimes your friends. And, when you're going through these life stages, whether it's you're engaged, you're wedding planning, or you've gotten married, you bought the house or got the new job, or you're just found out you're pregnant, or you're trying to get pregnant, whatever the occasion is, like it comes up, and there are some things that you learn later on, and there are waves to it, it's levels, it's all of these things, and we're really excited to dive into this as another one of our new waves of wedding and wifey type of conversations and whatnot. So anywho,
yay. I'm glad that you guys are doing this. So yes. Yay.
All right. So to kick it off, when it comes to planning a wedding and a life together emotionally, what do you think is the hardest part?
I think so. The hardest part, I would say, is getting to know yourself and each other, and how you guys can kind of work together. And I don't mean something as simple as like, these are your strengths and your weaknesses, or their strengths and weaknesses. I mean like your triggers and your values. I think that those sorts of things are what, once you can kind of like figure those out, which is just that happens as you go along, it helps to figure out how, like, who can do what, how you should be talking to each other, what makes the most sense, who should be doing this, who's better at that, how you could communicate what you need, what you don't. Like, it's very, very much like a getting to know yourself and each other and communicating together. Like, it's, if that makes sense, like that's the most difficult. And I don't know that it's ever completely done. I think it's a journey, and it changes over throughout your life, throughout your relationship, as things go. Like you said, different life events will kind of open up different things. But that's hard, and it's so worth it in the end. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah. I mean, I think like this question is low key a little bit loaded, because it's like,
oh my God. Okay.
because even, yes, I just got married, and yes, we just planned a wedding together, but now we're like trying to figure out how we do life together. Yes. And so it's kind of like, as you said, it's a journey, like not quite sure why that is, but you just journeying, you are just journeying, yes, journeying through this whole process. But yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I'm not even gonna ask the next question, because it's like, how do you even, like, why do you think that is? Like, I mean, you basically answered it, you know?
No, yeah, I mean, I think it's so much fun too. Like, I'm 5 years in, which make me like the OG for y'all, I guess. And we have been through so much, but even from the point of just being engaged, like, first, I've known my husband since I was a child. We were 6 and 7 once we like first met. Our siblings have been together forever. So by the time we got into a relationship and, you know, engaged, we have plenty of history. But once you're a couple, things are just completely different, and things kind of open up in a whole other way. And while planning, you know, deciding to go like destination, and then you have to you find out more about the family dynamics, and really about if somebody blows up, and not blows up like disrespectful, but, you know, if something kind of opens up as a sore spot, then you kind of got to talk about it, and you got to figure out why. And then the hard part is being open to doing that. And then, you know, you're having things go on while planning the wedding, and then you're married, and then you're deciding to like move, or, you know, my husband ended up having a stroke in 2019. So you're working through those sorts of things. And then, you know, now we want to have a child, and we're kind of talking, that was the thing. And it's just boom, 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 boom. And you're constantly evolving as well. The older you get, I was diagnosed with like lupus, and then, you know, with the business, and I got ADHD, like all these things. It's like boom, 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 boom. And it's crazy. So it starts when you guys first start dating, but I think it doesn't really get real until that ring comes in. And then it's like this, you know, becomes more cemented, and life be lifing. Life be lifing, y'all.
It's almost like it completely like starts over again. Like, not really, but low key, it's like you're starting over.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Yep. Yeah, through each stage.
Like, okay, so you pass this level, like I'm thinking of video game terms.
Yes.
Like, all right, so you beat this first level. So now things get a little bit harder, but because you got this far, you got certain things that you didn't access, like you didn't unlock. It's like this weapon or this extra, like, you know, bonus point thing or whatever that, you know, so now you got a little bit more moving forward. So that was actually a perfect segue to our next question, which is basically like, what were some of those hard conversations or those uncomfortable conversations that you and your husband had before y'all got married? And like, if you don't mind sharing some of those like at least the topics, not necessarily everything that was discussed, but like, because I think it's so important for people to do that. A lot of couples are so afraid of rocking the boat, which makes no sense to me. When it's like you're marrying this person, you need to be able to get uncomfortable. But like, what were some of those conversations y'all had?
Yes, I think the big one that anyone who's listening, and I know y'all will a zillion% agree, is money. That's always the most difficult. Every now and then I've noticed, like, I found out with like certain cultures, money is like spoken about all the time, like from childhood. But money was not a thing. Actually, let me not say that. Money, I learned a lot of really bad money habits. So by the time once we got together, even before we were engaged, there were conversations. I remember him asking me like, how much is your student loan debt? And I didn't know the answer to that. I'm like, I don't know. They all deferred, or they all spared, they all over the place. I don't know. He's like, you don't know? And I'm like, no, I don't. And I don't want to talk about it. And you know, it gets like ugly and bad. And I didn't come from like having a strong base with that. Like I've been at one point I've been homeless, and we've kind of like moved around. I went to all these different things. I had no stability in my life. So I came from like the swipe and pray sort of thing or something. Like, what you talking about? You don't know what's in that account. So by the time I came into my relationship, we had to like really sit and talk. And he wanted to talk about money, and not just talk about money. It's to the point where now I'm okay with it, but we have a monthly money conversation. And we go through all of our accounts, we go through our finances, we go through, like, we just look at all the things. Every morning, my husband looks at our accounts, make sure everything is good, like that kind of thing. He does that. I've gotten better with it, but when it's something that's so bad, and it was bad for me, my credit score was horrible when we first started dating. Now, and making the work and doing the things and really looking at stuff, you can't like improve what you don't understand.
Right.
It was a thing. So when you're planning the wedding, money, you must talk about. You have to talk about it. You can't just throw out a number and then just wing it. You guys should really discuss the things. And like one of the first resources that I created for my community was a destination wedding budget spreadsheet, which was like, I'm a crazy spreadsheet person, but we have like our personal ones, like our personal accounts, our personal, like our joint account, but then you have to kind of like go through. So we have our family budget, but then it was like your wedding budget, and you have to go through these numbers and see it, and you can't just spend crazy. And I feel like that's something that people really struggle to talk about, even in like Facebook groups. It's always funny when some people go like, I need to find an affordable photographer. What the hell is affordable to who? Let's drop some numbers on this. Like, it's important for me, anybody on my show must talk about how much they spent and how they saved it and who paid for it, because you see all these grandiose weddings, you see all this stuff out here, and no one's talking about how much these things really cost. So money, a zillion % is so difficult. And I think if we all could talk about it, we talk to our children about it, we talk to our friends about it, it would just be so much better. It'd be a really great, great world, especially in the wedding industry. How much people be charging? How much did you pay for that? How much did that cost?
Because they're not going to reveal a lot of that information upfront. Like, of course, I mean, marketer and me, I understand they want to capture some information on your side so they could justify X, Y, and Z. Yeah. So, they're not going to put that on their website because they want you to give them something, which is at least a name and an email address so they can follow up, or a phone number. But yeah, a lot of people want to know that. Like, money is such a taboo. It's such a taboo topic just across the board, whether it's in families, in relationships, planning your wedding. No one knows how much anything costs. Like, I did a video on TikTok where I just broke down, like, this is how much my wedding costs, give or take. I didn't want to put all of my vendors' business out there like that, so I kind of padded a little bit and kind of gave some estimates. But I was like, I hope this helps somebody, because this is what 70 people, less than 70 people, this is how much this costs. And folks were blown away because they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Anywho.
Yeah, no, that's real. Yeah, that's real. And I did a full hour, like I call them Desti hours, where I kind of will do coaching, but I went through my complete wedding budget. I went through the whole thing. This is how much my dress costs. This is how much alterations cost. This is how much. I mean, it's in my community, so it wasn't out there like that. But if you want to find it, it ain't hard to find. You know what I mean? But I wish that, and like, I wish that that's how I grew up and it wasn't so difficult. And that was a real challenge. And it's taken years to get to the point to where now it happens. My husband wanted to have this call, I call it a call, but we sit for like an hour, and it's our Chomi, we always say like Chomi, Che and Omi, our Chomi family budget, whatever, meeting, and we sit and go through the things, and it caused so much anxiety. And also my ADD, like I freak out and I'm bored and I can and all the things. Sometimes I drink before, or we would do it and then have like brunch after, just to kind of ease it, because it was so difficult. But there was a lot of shame there initially, like if you don't come from stuff. And then you also have, unfortunately, people who aren't like happy for you too. So you don't want to tell everybody your business, because then you don't want people all up in it and hating on you or judging you, and asking you for this because you got it. So it just gets funky when it's talking about the things. But money for sure was a thing. What about you, Tania?
Money's definitely a thing. It was a thing back then. It's a thing now. It's I mean, granted, like we are both open, but you know, he's a little bit more frugal than I am. I'm frugal. I thought I was frugal, but nah. He'll stand in the line at Walmart and say, y'all need to price check that, because online it says $2.99. Where's your manager? And there's a long line behind us. Yes, it actually happened. So that's the type of frugal that's the type of frugal me and I married. But yes, we are open about money when we have the conversation, but it's not a topic that I'm going to openly volunteer for us to talk about. Let's just say that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think also like what you need was a thing. I wasn't brought up to like matter almost. Like one of the things that I'm always like talking to my community or to people, and just really, I'm not like strangers, anybody. I kind of like will meet people and we're just like having these deep conversations. And it's one of those like you matter type moments, and it's okay for you to talk, or you ever like see that kid who doesn't really want to talk like that. You're like, how you doing? I'm all right. No. They're just not used to being able to speak. So if my feelings are hurt, or if I'm needing something, being able to like share and talk about that. Or if they're not necessarily at their best, being able to talk about that. And with my husband, it was very, very hard for him to see me kind of suffer in times, or really like at one point he had to come to me and was like, you just don't look happy. Like, and he took it personal. He felt like it's his job to make me happy, but I was just struggling with losing family members, and even like with the business. And I started to like have trouble focusing and just these things, and they get hard on myself. And I didn't know that I suffered from depression. So I was just kind of like down and didn't understand why. And I have this amazing husband and I'm doing all these things, but it took for him to come to me like, you don't seem happy. Like, you okay? And I was just, initially it was like, what? Like, you know, or if something happens, he asked me like, how does that make you feel? And no one ever asked me that. So I would get defensive initially, but the reality was really sitting and thinking about it and talking and learning how to articulate my feelings, going to therapy, you know, finding out what's happening with me were really, really hard things to do that have helped plan, work, you know, go through all of the things. And then it needs to be tweaked sometimes still, you know? So it can be hard to talk about what you need, but then also that you can tell that they need something.
Yeah.
How do you not do that? So.
Yeah. So, you know, we talked a little bit about being vulnerable to our husbands when it comes to finance, but how about family, like the extended to the immediate family, like financing the wedding, you know, having that conversation, you know, like how is that conversation with those people? And do you even have those conversations? Well, I kind of already know, but do you have those conversations with your extended or immediate family?
So I can kind of help in this one because yes, it's understood that we pay for our wedding ourselves. We did not have any help for that.
Yeah.
But over my years and dealing with my brides, and I do coaching as well, there's, I can kind of speak just on what happens and what's there and like the advice that I give and what kind of tends to make the most sense. So first of all, everyone has like the, oh my gosh, how do I ask? Like, how do I have this conversation? And it's not, I kind of, it's walking on eggshells, but not really. That's one of those things where it's like how, and when you're dealing with people, it's kind of like figuring out what's the best way to communicate with them. Are they very defensive? So do you kind of have to come at it from more of like, I don't really know what to do. So can you help me? Make them kind of feel like they're helping or they're coming up with the idea. And also just kind of like, it's a grow up, it's a maturity. I feel like it's a maturity that you kind of have to do.
Yeah.
You gotta like figure out how to do that, and knowing that if parents or family members are paying for your wedding, there's gonna be like a give and take with that. You gotta know that they're gonna want certain things. You can't say like, it's my wedding and you're paying for it, but you can't invite nobody or something like that. There's gonna be certain points, and you just kind of have to be able to communicate and go like, hey, like figure out how to give them a little bit of something, but then also get what you need at the same time too. When it comes to having vulnerable conversations with family members, I can't say that I've been like, me personally have been the best at it, because I've lost a good number of them. But I feel like I feel very confident and comfortable in it. Like I'm that type of person who has to share. Like I have to do my best. So sometimes it's like, it ain't about to work out. It ain't going to do the way it's supposed to be. They ain't going to respond the way they're supposed to. But I still have to try. I have to do it. I have to give you the opportunity to do right, which is by right. It's just respecting. It doesn't mean do what I want you to do, but just be respectful. And then if you don't, then it's extremely painful, but you kind of have to work through that. So I feel like I just went a whole other, I feel like you asked the question and I just went.
I mean, no, but it all flows together, to be honest. Like I figure, when you first turn 16 or 17 and you ask them, hey, can you all buy me a car? Like that's like a hard conversation. Then about like, okay, well, where do you want to go to college and how am I going to pay for it? That's a hard conversation. So that's like the next, like, so I'm getting married, are y'all going to help me, or can y'all help me, or, or can you do this for me? Or, I think like those are all kind of hard, not hard conversations, but these are things like, these are like the facts of life, basically. Yeah. So I don't know, that's how I kind of look at it.
Yeah. And I think some of that stuff isn't necessarily brought up until you're in that moment. So it's not like you, as you're, getting closer to that stage, as you're dating, you're like, okay, well, I just know that so-and-so is going to do this, or so-and-so wants to help. It's like, you get the ring and then it's like, people want to start giving you guest lists, folks to invite, but it's like, okay, you want to run me some coin for that? Like, I mean, whether you have it or not, like, for some, it's like, okay, you have a lot of these expectations, like in the episode that's airing this week with Carrie Ann, the rerun, it's like certain expectations of like living vicariously through your kids. So they're trying to have the wedding, trying to relive some of those moments that either they weren't allowed to have, or because, society has just changed over the last 20, 30 plus years. How we get married now isn't how they were getting married, because how they were getting married was being fully funded by their parents, whether their parents had the money or not. Whereas now we have our own money, sometimes, or we can pay a significant portion of this by ourselves, where sometimes we don't need the family, but all those dynamics and all the stuff that comes along with that as well. So I forgot where I was going with this, but yeah.
No, it's funny, like listening to you guys too, because I know that I love that we're kind of like all coming from different places, because even just the idea that being 16 and being able to ask for a car just sounds like, oh my God, that would be amazing. So, or to have a parent that, like for me, I was like the first wedding, and my parents got married in like a house, and they just kind of did whatever they could do. And I have an older sister, she got married in the home as well. So I was like the wedding, if that makes sense. And that opened up a whole other thing where nobody put no money aside. Like it wasn't even a question. Like it was more, and I also come up with people like that know, like it came up the same way I came up, but still kind of like, how am I supposed to ask my parents if there's money? I'm like, I don't know. Like, can they pay their bills? If they can't pay their bills, like, I don't know. But then sometimes you could be surprised where there really are parents who like put the money aside and really do something. So it's great if like family members will come. And I will say, like, my dad was like, hey, I want to help you pay for your wedding gown. And that was a surprise. I was like, oh, okay. Like, all right. But I think with all of the things is that being vulnerable, if you like, it's one of those, if you want something, if you need something, you have to be okay with asking for that and being open with whatever comes from that. And that's like with your spouse, with your family, with your friends. It may not go the way you want it to go, but you did your part in just trying to do what's best for you, which is just asking for what you need, want, and going for that, if that makes sense. And it's hard.
Yeah.
Vulnerability is hard. Boundaries are hard.
It's all hard.
You don't know how people are going to respond. You really, really have no idea how they're going to respond, and you can't control that at all. No. And that goes with wedding planners and all the things too, with your wedding vendors. You kind of just got to let them know what you need. And it's advocating for yourself in the end with everything. It's all that.
And making sure the vendors you select can advocate for you as well, or like on your behalf, because you're not in every single conversation, depending on, say you have a coordinator or planner or what have you. Like some of these people are having conversations about your wedding that you're not on because you're working or you're doing something else.
Yeah.
And so making sure you have those right people in place for you to really speak on your behalf, and they're not just trying to like, do something for themselves or like, in it for whatever. But they really get you. Yeah. Because we've heard horror stories of like vendors that like try to push a certain amount, even though you've said like, I don't have this.
Yeah.
So, but anywho.
Or they, they're pushing them out, especially like when it's destination weddings. These resorts have these, like everybody has preferred vendors lists, but the resorts really, really push those. And not because they're great vendors necessarily, but because they get a kickback from that. So you have to do your homework and you have to make sure you've got to figure those things out, because, and the first thing you do is like get the best team that you can, like create your team, your planner, the people who will advocate for you that you can trust. I always say like destination wedding planning, and really wedding planning in general, is like start a business. You got to hire the right folks that you can trust, that are going to be able to be there when you're not there and do the things you need them to do, and at the rate that you can afford.
Hello, that's the one.
So
yeah. Okay, so kind of in the same vein, and side note, so we're gonna go as far as we can with Tania, and then
okay,
if she's gone, we'll just wrap. So FYI.
Okay.
All right. So when it comes to like your friends, do you find it easy to open up with them? Because there's this whole like thing about, what do you share with your friends? What don't you share with your friends? And then once you're engaged and once you're married, do you share stuff with them? And then like, especially the friends that are still single, like, can you tell them things? Yes or no? Like, what, kind of what are your thoughts around that?
My thoughts around that are, you need to know who these people are. And we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but it's like, you talk to, like how Tania was saying, you talk to this person for this, you talk to this person for that, you talk to this person for that. You can't bring everything to everybody. And that's how it is. Like, I have certain girlfriends that I know that I could talk to about something as easy as like, everybody don't care about fashion or makeup or Beyonce or something like that. I just got my little Beyonce package, my Renaissance, and I am excited. And only 2 people got a photo, and they were the ones that was like, yes. Okay, everybody's not going to get that.
Right.
And when it comes to, there's ones when it's like a career conversation, or you need that one that's going to really be there with you and be like, yeah, be your cheerleader no matter what. And then the one where when you're crying is going to really be there and be that for you. So you learn as you work through your relationships. And if you're lucky enough to have the different spaces and types of friends, then you can do that. And the same goes with, family members as well. So I think it's not easy to have, like, it's not easy to figure out who you can talk to about what, when feelings do get hurt, and you start to learn that, okay, I can't talk to that person about that. I'm not going to do this. This didn't work out how I needed it to work out. But I could have called her for this, and I'm gonna call Ashley for this, and I'm gonna call Thea for this, and so when it's when you're planning a wedding, I think that it can be, it flares up even more, and you may find out that some people aren't as happy for you, or some people don't know how to be happy for you, or when you have your single friends, they don't get things. Like your single friends who've never been through a wedding and never been through marriage, or even a healthy relationship for that matter, they're not going to understand what you're trying to go through because they just haven't been there necessarily. So I don't share everything with everybody at all. And it's been a journey in figuring out who you can and can't share those things with.
That's real.
That makes sense.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No. No. I
think it's all about, like you were saying, knowing who you can tell. I think everybody has like their own friend groups where it's like, this the one that is light, like she the turn up friend. This one is the, if I need advice on blah, blah, blah friend. And so going to those respective groups for whatever the thing is, but you're not going to the turn up friend or the good time friend about, like something that happened with, say, like an aunt or an uncle, or like, something that's a little bit more serious. You're going to the friend that like the drop of the dime, no questions answered, like, just let me know what it is. I'm gonna show up.
Right.
So we know who to go to, who to talk to things about. I don't really believe in the whole, you're single, so I'm not going to talk to you about married stuff. I think there's levels of like what you do and don't share. But I think that's just in respect of your relationship, not necessarily, oh, my friend is single, so she's not going to understand.
That's fair.
To a certain extent. Like, of course, there's certain things that maybe you wouldn't, but like, this friend might have known you longer than the spouse, you know? So like,
they're like, you tripping, right? Like, hold on.
Exactly.
You should not be, you know better.
Right.
Remember back years ago when you did this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, they're sometimes the ones that can hold you accountable because they knew you then. But just because the friend is married or not married, to me, like that whole, I'm not going to share this amount of information, I'm not going to talk to you about anything. Like, to me, that's just stupid. You got to know, you got to be able to trust your friends too. But I think that's about selecting the right friends. But
Yeah,
we're not going there.
Yeah, and I was just going, like, you were there was something on Instagram about it, and something else that I do to add to all of the bridal stuff that I do is I'm also a bridal stylist, so I help brides find their wedding gowns and beholden. But I've come to even understand even more how bringing, like, it's about choosing the right people to do certain things. So first of all, like, I have an episode with Jen Glantz where she's like a professional bridesmaid for hire, and her number one thing was like, make sure that you're choosing the right bridesmaids. Don't just choose because it's 20 of y'all and you just want them all to be there, and then you're expecting them all to be the exact same person and do the things that you want them to do, when that's never been the history of the relationship. That has never, ever been the case. Or they're going through what they're going through, you know, their life, but suddenly it's supposed to all just stop short for you. And you can kind of really play yourself when you're not really going to that root of who that person is, what they're going through, who that person is to you. And then carrying that over to, you know, something as simple as who are you taking with you to find your wedding gown? Like, don't what do you want from this? Like, what do you want from these people? If this person is never positive, or if this person is not happy about your situation. I've seen the brides just crushed by people that they love and had no business being there at all. So when you're specifically getting married, I think you start to learn a lot, but it also requires a lot of thought on your part too, because you have to make sure that you're doing the right things for you and your partner. And the same thing goes with grooms too, because a lot of best men have been dropping the ball, especially lately too. They drop the ball too. It ain't just the bridesmaids at all.
That is true.
Yeah. Who are you guys to each other? Because I know y'all have been friends. So who are you guys to each other?
Ashley was my matron of honor.
No, I mean, like, like what type of friend? Like, I call Ash for this. I call.
Oh, okay. I feel like I call Ashley if I need some real sound advice. Like, she won't sugarcoat it. That's why I was kind of surprised when she said, like, oh yeah, like I'm on eggshells. Cause I'm like, bruh, you are never on eggshells with me. Like, even if you feel like you are, you're not.
Like, this is the eggshells version, believe it or not.
So yeah, I mean, honestly, Ashley's always gonna keep it real with me, like no matter what. If she thinks what I'm saying is stupid, she's gonna say that's stupid or that's dumb. So
but it's the same. I think it's because too, we've been in each other's lives for multiple decades. So we've seen the evolution. Like, we know how both of us got to where we are now. Whereas like some friends came in only like within the last 10 or 15 years or less than that, you know, and that's not to like shade those relationships or those friendships, because they all have their place. But like, Tania was always like the sweet little nice one, and then we went to Miami. And I feel like Tania has just, like, she doesn't have to be the little, you know, sweet, nice to the people that she's let in, you know, so she could, like, you know, peel that layer back and be more of the, that's stupid. Like, I was going through, deleting stuff off my phone over the weekend. I came across some screenshot from some Snapchat conversation we had in like 2015.
Lordy.
And what Tania was talking about, and like, I don't know who she was talking about, but I was like, I don't have to find it and send it to you, because I was like, one, I don't even remember you talking like this, but whatever it was just like, this is not the Tania everybody sees. So I think, you know, it's good to have, you know, the OG friend that like knows you and can just like keep it real with you, but you also know that like what they're saying comes from a place of love, even if you don't necessarily like what they're saying.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Or how they're saying it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Just the other day.
We are not going there.
We go there. No.
Don't you have to go to class? Oh goodness. Okay. So what advantages did you see in your marriage that came from having some of those harder conversations before you were married?
This is gonna circle back to the first thing, but once like being vulnerable and sharing the things and opening up to him and really to each other just made things much easier. You started to kind of you understand how to deal with that person, or how, you know, how to broach this topic, or how, you know, not to, or when to broach this topic at the same time too. I feel like all of those things make sense. Like while you're planning your wedding, you're talking about, like, we had a lot of family drama, which could be a whole other episode to talk about, like literally just the things that went down. So we lost a lot of relationships that meant a lot to us. And we had a lot of conversations about those things and working through them and how they make us feel and why we feel the way that we feel. So now I kind of, you know, if something's happening later on, then you figure out how to deal with that person. My husband is very analytical. You need to basically he's gonna have so many questions. He loves to talk. I was telling him he should have been here with me, because he's like, he loves to talk about feelings, emotions, all the things, and loves that. But I'm not that person really, or I can kind of struggle with that sometimes. And for him, I learned that, like, in order to start like the podcast, I had to put together a full business plan. He never asked me for that. And there's like an episode of something, some reality, something. Anyway, I put together a full business plan because I knew he had all of the questions. And in order for him to feel comfortable with my decision to not continue to be a trademark paralegal and to push forward and start this, I needed to really do my due diligence. And it wasn't a matter of permission for things. It's just a matter of we're a partnership. So we need to agree with that. I need his support on these things. So it's just like how to talk to each other and moving forward with anything. Sometimes I'm way over prepared, which is great, because I got my whole 10 reasons as to why we need to do this. And I come to him and he's like, okay. And I'm like, wait. That was only point one. I got way more. Wait a minute, you know? So I think that understanding how they work makes things that much easier. I knew that with planning our wedding, music means the world to him. So that could be the thing that he definitely does. He also loves to see all the things. He's a lawyer, so he edits. And he edited the crap out of our invitations. Like, I just brought it, like, look what I did. This is so great. And I talked about this. We did like a series about our destination wedding on YouTube, and we talked about how he really hurt my feelings, and I had to know, like, oh my gosh, this is who he is, and this comes from love, as y'all were saying. And he had to learn, like, okay, she's sensitive about her stuff, she's creative, so, you know. And now moving forward, we kind of figure out how to do those things. And you'll edit this out. Bye. I'll see you soon. Thank you for this.
Bye, Tania.
Yes, he's analytical and I am the creative, and he is hard to read for people. His poker face is strong and mine is non-existent. I don't call it weak. It doesn't exist at all. And just kind of, so now I know how to, it's one of those, like, kind of like knowing how to get what you want, but not in a manipulative way, just how to ultimately the goal is for our home to be the safe space and the happy space, and where we can communicate with each other and do all of the things. And with wedding planning, we went through so much to do all of those things, like even with the guest list, who's doing what, how can we make sure that we feel good about who's coming to our wedding, or like who's not coming to our wedding. And we went to therapy before to prepare for not having our, we didn't have mothers at our wedding. We did not have our mothers, and we were worried about how we would feel. So we went to therapy for that sort of thing. And we've done so much work individually. He went to therapy, I went to therapy, and then we also went to therapy together. And lots of work, but now at this point, it's just like, it's awesome. Will we never need therapy again? I'm sure that's not the case at all. But we have a really, really great foundation. And really, wedding planning did that for us. And I feel like destination makes it a little bit more like ups the ante, because you want people to act right, which is always an issue in all weddings. That's like the big thing. People don't be acting right. You ask them to travel, and you ask them to coordinate and do certain things and be in certain places and look at the website and talk to this planner and to make sure you do this and wear this and pack that and get your passport. And you're just asking for so many more things, spend way, way, way more money sometimes. And it can just get kind of crazy. So now coming out of it, and anyone who comes out of it after having their conversations and growing, you're just that much stronger. And now it's like, I still cry. Back to the beginning, I cry all the time.
But I think it makes having the harder conversations that you have down the line, the ones that are expected and unexpected, makes it a little bit easier, because you know this space in a sense, right? Like, you know how safe your person is in terms of what you can say, what you can't say, how they react, how they process things. And it's like, wedding planning is so stressful. No matter what you do, it's hilarious to see how, like, I see on TikTok from time to time, people are like, I thought destination planning was going to be easier. And it's like, Lord. Oh no, it's
you made it.
It's a different headache. It's a different headache, but it's still a headache. Like, I mean, it'll still be worth it when it's all said and done, but there's still so much. So like, wedding planning in itself is so stressful. It's not accurately portrayed online, on TV. You think it's fun, you think it's giggles, you think it's light, fluffy, airy. It is hard work. But it's really a good testament, or like a good, kind of guinea pig, kind of like beta version of some of the hard stuff and the things you have to do when you're actually married. Because it's like, yeah, you're building up to like a day or a weekend or whatever the experience is. But then y'all got stuff, and whether it's family stuff that's popping up at the same time that might have been bubbling while y'all were engaged, or bubbling beforehand, or like maybe it's friend stuff, or like, health things that you can't plan for, like work things, someone can get laid off. Like, there's so many things that you're just not prepared for. But yeah, I think like definitely having some of those harder conversations earlier makes it easy. But I will say too, sometimes you can have those hard conversations and then still be taken by surprise at what can happen afterwards. Like, you can have some of those hard conversations, but maybe like how we were saying, once you're engaged, you kind of start over. And then once you get married, you kind of start over. Maybe like some of that info wasn't fully divulged in the relationship. Maybe a little bit more comes out in the engagement period, or maybe you find out in the engagement period, but then once you get married, then it's like, well, you told me you had that, but you didn't tell me you had $60,000 worth of debt. I mean, for example, right?
No. Yeah.
You know, like I knew you had student loan debt, but some people's student loan debt is like, oh, I just have $10,000. And some people it's like, oh, that's $100,000.
100,000. Yeah. Yeah. Or
So,
you're not paying. No, it's like wedding planning, destination wedding planning, no matter what, it's boot camp, right? That's just, it's like straight up is life relationship boot camp. You're working the muscles, you're building the muscles. You still have to get to that point, and you're kind of like always in that space. And you may like injure yourself while you're working out, which is like, but you got to work through that rehab and then come back and rebuild some more. But yeah, we definitely had to have all types of conversations. And I think it's important to do that. And really, I can take responsibility and say that when we were getting married, through our whole relationship, we did not want children. We did not. Like, I was one of them like, oh, hell. We were that couple that was like, nah. And I absolutely, positively flipped the script and changed my mind. And it came quick and it came hard. Like, it came hard. And had to have a conversation with him. You know, I was like, I know that this is not what we agreed to. And I completely understand if this is not what, but I have to share with you and tell you how I'm feeling. And it was one of those things where I was telling them, like, I was making little jokes, like, this is something about having a baby. He was like, oh, hell no. And I'm like, what? Like, I got angry. And he was like, wait a minute, you're serious. Like, it was a whole thing. And it took a while to have those conversations. And we had to deal with it. Again, it was a trauma thing. And you didn't really grow up seeing what we wanted to see. And, you know, we've come to realize that we love who we are and we trust who we are and we can do this. You know, we feel like it's something that we want to do. But when I tell you we were getting married, we had the conversation. We had all these conversations. How do we feel politically? How do we feel religiously? How do we feel financially? Where are we going? We knew the money. We knew the things. And I still changed my mind. And I made a ginormous mistake financially once we were married, and I couldn't come to him immediately. So I went to that friend. You know, you know that friend that you can talk to. I was like, yeah, I messed up. What do I do? Help. How you do this? What do I do? And I went to him to talk to him, but things happened. So it was like, that was boot camp. Planning boot camp. But just know that you're going to constantly be on a journey, and maybe you learned that you could do a 5K, and then you go into that 10K, and then you may hit the little marathon. You're like, it's going to keep going, but you know, you get stronger, and it's fun. You get stronger together.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know what? We actually
great time, by the way. Just so
yay, good. I am too. I'm so like, I think that's even a good like a space we could dive down in with you saying how, like, you know, we did not want kids and now we want, you know, like now we have opened up to that. Because I think a lot of things, people forget that marriage is an evolution that you take on with another person. Because you as an individual, you are already going to evolve. The person you are today is not the person you were 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, or the person you were at the beginning of your relationship, right? Like, you change over time. And Tinny and I were talking about, you know, just like when we notice things with, you know, like we may see something on Instagram where it's like maybe somebody is going through a separation, or, you know, someone passed away, or like whatever the thing is, like the things that you don't plan for. And when you first get married, you don't think these things are going to happen sometimes in the way or the time in which it does.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting because part of some of the things that occur are due to these changes, the evolution of who you are as a person. And people just forget that, I think, so much, that like the person that you marry by textbook is not always the same person 5 years, 10 years down the line. There may be some core foundational things that are the same,
right?
But there may be quirks. There may be a TV show that that person used to love, and now that person does not want to see that television show ever again, or hear that song again, or, you know, like maybe they really want to, you know, hike, you know, like go through a hiking vacation or something that's like them in the woods for several days. Or like I was hearing about there's somewhere in Canada where there's like a path and a trail, and then there's these like little cabins that you could just like pop into, sleep overnight, and then just keep going on your trails. Not anything you have to like formally book.
Oh, wow.
Because it's just kind of, they know you in the woods, you outside. Here's a refrigerator, here is a bed, here is a bathroom.
Wow.
Keep it going. So people change, people want different things. And I think, you know, this is an aside, and Tania's probably going to take this part out, but I think it's just so interesting.
Use this later. Make this a snippet or an extra piece. This is good.
Yes, I think it's so interesting about the evolution of just like who we are as people and the things that we want and don't want, and how we, you know, we shift our minds. I think that's just interesting, and yeah, that's something we can talk about later. Anywho.
No, it really is. And just, I will say, like, I say brides because most people that need it is brides, but I tell them that whenever they say like, I ain't signing up for that. But you did.
You kind of did.
Yeah, but you did, you know, in a way, you know, and it's like the foundation, it makes sense, but it's all coming from love. It's all coming from respect. But hopefully my husband is not the same person that he was 5 years ago, and he will be a different man 5 years later. You're growing, hopefully for the better, right? But yeah, you're coming together. And I really, really felt so guilty for that, you know. And now, you know, I'm 37 and we're trying to have kids, we're trying to have a child. And this is all brand new, early for us, but like we went fertility stuff. And now I'm like, I got him okay with this, not okay, but like wanting this as well. And what if I can't give that to him? And like, you know, you get all of these extra things, and, you know, he's here for the long run and I'm here for the long run. And it's, instead of coming at it from like I agreed to this and this is all that, it's just so much more fun watching each other grow. Like, I'm so proud of the man that he's become, and I'm so excited to see, like, every birthday I get, I really say it, like, I'm so excited to see like who you're going to be next year and what's going to happen. It's just more fun, you know. So have fun with it, y'all. Y'all just have fun.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so on the flip side of that, do you think there are disadvantages to being vulnerable?
Oh yeah. Getting your feelings hurt is a disadvantage.
Oh yeah, very true.
And if you're being vulnerable to the wrong people, the types of pain that you can kind of be opening yourself up to, and I'm not trying to be like scare anyone out of doing it, but just keeping it completely funky, like, it can really mess with you. And that's where it becomes a thing of like, you have to sometimes separate yourself. You can't just keep being vulnerable to people who don't deserve that or respect that or handle you the way, give you what you're giving them. Because if you're just out here willy-nilly being vulnerable, you are just setting yourself up for a world of pain. So I feel like that's a huge disadvantage. And in my case, like, I've lost some people that really, really are important. Like, I haven't talked to my mom since I got married in 2017, and I haven't spoken to my mother since 2016. And a part of that was me sharing what I needed and it not working out in my favor, you know? So I did a post about that on my blog, on my website, that really dug into what that did. And I kind of did it in like an A to Z thing, talking about like anxiety, B's for boundaries. See, like I dug through all the things, and it's been very helpful to others. And that's why I did that. I didn't do that to drag anybody, and I didn't do it to get all nasty, but it's, you go through real things. And the bulk of it, like, some people will be like, oh, you know, I just should have never even, that's why I don't even do this. This is why I don't open up. This is why I don't ask for stuff, because I don't want these. But it just would have been way more painful the other way. So I think that sometimes you got to go through those things to grow. Who knows? That relationship could, come back. It could be something different. I'm not like a forever type person, but it can hurt. I think that. And if you think you're being vulnerable, the other thing, some people think they're being vulnerable and they're just being assholes. Or can I say that? Yeah, I can say that. Just because you tell them, it's one of those, like, it's the truth. Just because it's the truth doesn't mean that it should be said or it should be said. It still needs to come from love.
Right.
Something with respect. You want a positive outcome, and ultimately is what you want, and people, I feel like y'all have talked about that before, and that could be a problem too, because you think you're being vulnerable and you're just not. You don't know what you're doing for.
Right. It's the wall that you've put up, or it's like a kind of a boundary you've set for yourself, where it's kind of like a shield of sorts, where it's like, I don't want anyone to poke back at me necessarily sometimes for what I'm dishing out. Yeah. So here's this little protective layer. We're not going to break down why I am the way that I am. Like, I've had this conversation with family members about other family members too. Like, don't act this way, because when you do this, you are making this person feel this. And you know that when you do these things, that triggers this with this person. Well, I don't understand why.
They should feel like that then.
Exactly. And it's like,
sensitive. They be just too sensitive.
Exactly. Okay. And I'm like, this person has been this way for decades. This person is older than both of us, like, it's hard. It will take a lot of time, but also that means this person is compassionate, and essentially what you're doing is trying to take advantage of them, whether you mean to or not.
Yeah.
But like, family. Those conversations that, I'm not gonna, like, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not gonna change a thing I'm doing, because that's how I am, and that person needs to change.
Yeah, and who do they think they are asking me to be somebody? That whole "who do you think you are" thing, and that goes into, like, when you plan a wedding, people, who do you think you are? I can do. No, you can't do whatever you want to do. And that's where the planning a wedding, going back to that, is that beginning of, like, this is about us. This is what we want. And that whenever someone does "who do you think you are," you just need to let them know who you think you are, who you are. But that's some real stuff. I'm just me. How dare you? How dare me? I'm just at what? Like, okay. All right. That's when you walk away. That's when you pull it to me and just, all right.
Right. I'm done. I've checked out. Right. I'm going to sleep peacefully. Okay. So final question. And honestly, I feel like we could really just keep going, because there's so many layers to this. And of course, this is just your first episode with us. Like, we're definitely
we gotta have part whatever. Part some more.
It's a lot of things we got to break down. But knowing what you know now, seeing the person you are today and the journey you've experienced as not only a wife, but a person, a friend, a sister, a daughter, all of the things that you are, a business person, a stylist, a media mogul, all of the things. Yes, we're putting it out there.
I received that. Thank you.
Yes. Like, what advice would you give the fiance version of yourself?
I would tell myself that you are enough. Know that you are amazing. Know that you're only going to get better. And it's like, it's one of those, like, it's okay. I think, I don't know if you watch, like, RuPaul's Drag Race, but this feels like one of those moments where they'd be like, hey, this is the child. What would you tell to this child or whatever? About to get all emotional. But I would tell her that you're gonna go through a whole lot, and you've been through a whole lot, and it's just gonna make you that much better. It's worth it. But more than anything else, you are enough. You are amazing. You deserve that man. You deserve that relationship. You deserve people that love you and respect you and see you for the wonderful person that you really are. And yeah, keep going. Like, these people need to hear from you, being my, community. And you're going to do some like really great things, but only if you keep being yourself and sharing your story and being okay with your story. I feel like that, like, an insecurity has been like a common thread and like a fear. And anytime that I have been afraid of something, and even still pushing forward has only helped others. And that's like, I would tell myself something I didn't know then, is that helping people is what keeps you going. So if you can really zoom into helping others, you will save yourself a whole lot of heartache. Goodness gracious, so much heartache. So yes.
That's so kind. I feel like maybe the younger versions of all of us were a little harsh on ourselves, like we had to get it perfect the first time, or things kept piling up and it just felt like things were hard, but we see the other side. Not saying everything is perfect and roses and things like that, but it's like, just hold on. Hold on.
Yeah, it's supposed to happen.
Right.
And even stuff that I have to tell myself, even still, is like, just, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, if I'm being completely honest right now, my show has been on hold for so long because I struggle with my editing and getting my intros right and just feeling all right and okay. Like, that makes no sense because I'm holding on to amazing content that my community loves. And quite frankly, it doesn't even need an intro. And I'm really, at this point, like, just throw it out there, but
you're more critical of yourself.
So critical. But that's because I did not grow up with, the opposite. Like, a big part of having a child is it's going to be like, I've watched some, interviews of really successful people, and they had people in their lives that were like, you're amazing. You're beautiful. You're wonderful. You got this. There's nothing you can't do. Like, all of that kind of stuff, pouring that into a child from the beginning and moving up instead of like, shut up, get out of here. What you doing? What about me? How about that? I can't, and not saying that it's bad. Whatever. I don't have to give no disclaimers. It was what it was. And now I'm 37 years old. 37, y'all. 37 years old. And I'm still, working with the affirmations and trying to be that person and get that and move with it. And I feel like it's, it's just that much more special once you're when you get those moments and the affirmation and the yay, thank you so very much. And I appreciate you and I love you. And that's why I want to be a mom. I want to be a mom because I trust myself and I love myself. And my relationship is so fire that I just want to be able to raise a human and pour the love that we have in this home with that person. Like, to be able to say something like that.
Yeah.
And not be like, oh, feel guilty, or you'd be like, well, what about me? How have you? So yes, that's what I would tell myself, my fiance. Yes. And you're gonna lose a whole lot of people, but you're gonna gain so many more.
That's true.
You're gonna gain so many more. Way, like, so many more. Yeah.
That is so real.
Oh,
like, sometimes you see people show up for you that you had no idea. And the folks sometimes you thought would have showed up for you don't. That's a hard lesson. But yeah, definitely be appreciative of those that do.
Yeah.
Like,
try to focus on those.
Yeah.
Focus on those.
Sometimes it's hard, especially when you're in that moment where those things are still actively happening. But yeah, that's
easier said than done by far.
For sure. For sure. All right. Vendor love. All right. So up to, well, we're changing it this year. One vendor for you to shout out. Because people took advantage of us. Where we're like, you can do up to 3. They're like, what can I do? And then it's like a 7 vendors. And I'm like, do you understand what work I have to do to put this out? Yeah. I'll give you 3. I'll give you 3.
I don't even, so that's a hard one. I feel like you talk about vendor love. That's so crazy to say. Well, for one, I will say that because I have a platform as well, and I have like Desti Pros is like my thing, and there's so many amazing vendors that I work with. It's really, really hard to like choose favorites. So I'm a little stuck. I feel like, well, okay, see, look, yes, okay. So I will say, yes, that Beholden, BHLDN is, first of all, I'm at Beholden Atlanta in Howell Mills. So if anybody's in Atlanta and is looking for a wedding gown, come holler at me because I'm amazing and I love what I do. But Beholden gowns specifically are affordable. I wish I knew about them when I got my gown. My gown was $4,000, and we don't have a gown that's over maybe like 24 might be the most expensive, but we also have a $250 wedding gown. Like, it's wildly great, and they go from sizes 0, some double zeros, all the way up to like 26, and it's very, very inclusive. Really, really great stuff. And if you're ever last minute, you can literally have a gown overnighted to you because they're in the warehouse waiting on you. So I will say that. And an happy couple, and I'm specifically not calling out actual vendors because I love all of my Desti Pros and the vendors, and it's so hard to pick one. But Happy Couple, the wedding website company, I absolutely positively love as well, especially for destination weddings. But there are so many different tabs and things that you can do, and you also can like see when people log in onto your website. When they say I didn't get the invitation, you can actually see that they did because there's a code and they don't know that you can see what they're doing. So that's another thing that I love about it. And then the Desti Guide to Destination Weddings. Can I check myself out too?
Yes, we're gonna give you a chance in a second, but go for yes. Oh. Yes. Seriously. Like, if you are a YouTube girl, head to YouTube. If you are a podcast girl, go to your favorite podcast platform. Like,
yes, I'm there. I try to.
You got merch. Go get you some shirts. Like, yes, you are so needed. I'm so glad you were here.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Thank you so very much. I do love what I do. I offer coaching services. I have a community. I have just opening up a membership of community tiers. So if you want to get more access to me and more answers, I have that too. And then I do have Desti Pros that I'm, work with to help to figure out what makes the most sense for who, but I love you all and I can't choose. So I can't do that. Hue I Do. I love y'all so very much. So no, y'all are awesome. This is just, your platform is everything. So
it's so mutually received. Like, from the first time that we connected and like we're on the phone, it's just like you feel like someone we've known for such a long time, and the way that you celebrated us really meant a lot, because like we hear about it all the time where everyone feels like it's either me or no one, Yes. And there's room for all of us. We're all providing different perspectives, different lenses, and someone needs that. someone needs that. And so from day one, like we have been so appreciative of everything that you've like, every conversation we've had, every interaction we've had, like it's always been love. And we're so glad you're here, like in Atlanta, so we can actually like get together.
Yeah.
But yeah, truly.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And the thing that's I think is like lost on people is also that us coming together and being the same, and even if we were doing the exact same thing, is that much more important for us to see that we're not alone and we have the same sorts of experiences. So doing the same thing is not even a bad thing, especially as for us, it's not even many of us in this community anyway. So you just need to see, and sometimes you got to hear it. You got to hear it again. You got to hear it again before it really sinks in. So I love what you guys are doing. I'm here for the support. I appreciate y'all because y'all keep me going too. And you've been, y'all are amazing. And I love what you do for the community, and specifically like the hue, all the melanated, all the Black love. Like I love what y'all are doing. So
yes, thank you.
Yes.